Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pam McElvain. I'm the CEO of Diversity MBA Media and Diversity Learning Solutions. We are so excited to begin our first of our series of industry podcasts. These roundtables are designed to hear from leaders, not just their career stories, but what's happening in today's environment, today's business places, how organizations are committed to talent while navigating the priorities within their organizations. And today we wanted to speak to the insurance industry leaders. As you know, in our research, we're able to capture data on 38 industries, and within those industries, 68 sub-industries. And so within the financial services industry, we are going to be focusing on the insurance industry. And I am so excited to bring to you this very esteemed and elite panel that will share with you these insights that will allow you to reach out to them and ask questions on LinkedIn and their websites and really understand what's going on within their industry and within their workplaces. So with that, I'd like to say good afternoon, ladies.
Good afternoon, Pam.
Good afternoon.
Great. So the first thing I really want to ask each one of you, and it's something that I think is just really important for very busy people to hear from other busy people, is what you do in terms of taking care of yourself and managing your well-being. And then we're going to get into a little bit about your background. But first, let's start with you, Jeanette Kelo Smith from Zurich, North America.
Thank you, Pam. So I do think it's very important to make sure that you're taking care of yourselves. These are demanding roles. And so for me, I like to say that, I work hard, but I play hard. I enjoy traveling. I enjoy traveling so that I learn about different cultures. And I also enjoy spending time with my family, with friends. And I also have a group of folks that I can touch base with who can help me in terms of navigating this difficult work around diversity and inclusion. So I do a number of things. Exercise is so very important, making sure that I'm taking care of myself physically so that I'm able to continue to do this great work. So there are a number of different facets that I use to take care of myself.
Thank you. I appreciate that. How about you, Christine Coughlin with Boston Mutual Life Insurance?
Sure. Thank you, Pam. So I agree, work-life balance is essential, quite frankly, to be able to continue with such high-level jobs and high-pressure jobs. I'd like to exercise as much as I possibly can. To me, that's a good outlet for kind of a little bit of pent-up energy. It's always good to have another outlet. And I enjoy really spending time with family and friends and with different social activities, whether it's golf, whether it's, playing some sort of organized sport, whether it's walking or just hanging out, quite frankly, because it is about social interactions with each other that keep us grounded to who we are and also able to talk amongst each other about our different beliefs.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. I agree with you when you talk about the competing priorities.
Mm-hmm.
And Miriam Lewis, Principal Financial Group, how do you keep yourself balanced?
Yes, so thank you so much, Pam, for the opportunity to be here today. And our stories are very similar, but I'm a football junkie, so I take a page from the college football playbook. So I exercise, right? So I make sure that I'm practicing and getting myself conditioned for every single day. I probably exercise 3 to 5 times a week. The next thing I do is I spend, like Christine mentioned, lots of time with family, and I call that my huddle time, right? Just chilling with everyone and making sure we're all good and ready to go. And then there's that necessary halftime. So during halftime, I am refreshing. I am spending time during my refreshing time for me, whether that is an extended halftime or a 15-minute halftime, like what we see in sports, using mindfulness as a tool as well. So those are some of the things that I do to stay refreshed, and they seem to work very well for me. So thank you for asking.
Absolutely. And I've become like this junkie of some of the the criminal series, and I'm like, as long as I don't have to think about stuff Okay, but I really leaned into interval walking and exercising. And so that's been great, particularly when you don't have a lot of time. And I think it's just, not you guys know, and not just me, you're in these large organizations, you have these facilities for folks. And let me just ask you guys just jump in real quickly. It's like people feel that they really don't have the ability to just go take 15 minutes and go maybe walk around your corporate, premise, and they feel guilty about it? Or is it something that you guys are able to encourage folks? Just jump in and share real quickly.
I like to have walking meetings.
Mhm.
Grab somebody and say, hey, I know we need to catch up on this. Can we do a little bit of a walk while we have this conversation? That's a creative way to get some of those steps in as well.
I
Yeah,
like that.
and we encourage that. We just started encouraging that if you have something just that you need to discuss, go for a little walk, talk it over. And it's good. You get out, you get a little fresh air, and it actually it shows a very good role model for other employees to see that people can actually go out and do this, and it's not something you shouldn't do, right? So that's a good
That's
example.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are good examples. Anything to add, Miriam?
Well, just that I work remotely, so I enjoy virtual walking meetings. So it still works.
really
We
neat.
just have to make sure that we are translating everything into that remote environment as well.
Yeah,
So
I
yes,
like that.
walking, stay and continue to move is really important for many reasons. Getting those steps in.
Mhm.
Well, as we, I do want to take a couple minutes and then have you guys, think about the story, because I'd like you each take a couple minutes to introduce yourselves and bring your background forward. I am also the host of WCPT 820 AM, the Inclusive Voice Radio Show. And that's one of the things I want the audiences to know, because, oh my goodness, the careers are so rich. And having this level of leadership, I really want the young people to be able to hear these different stories that you bring forward. But I do want to let folks know and let you guys know, some of you know this already, but prior to becoming an entrepreneur, I'm going to age myself now, I spent 20 plus years in the insurance industry. So this is an industry I'm very, very familiar with, managing, underwriting, and operations, and you just name it. Actuarial, involved in a lot of it. So this is the one conversation I can kind of relate to with these ladies. So let's start with you, Miriam. And you have a really interesting background too. And so I'd love for folks not to just hear your current role as Chief Inclusion Diversity Officer, but a little bit about the background, where you went to school, a little bit about where you grew up, and then just how you. Yeah, we'll just start from there. Just give folks that sense of a little bit of the career story.
Absolutely. So I am originally from Mobile, Alabama, which is where I live today. So I've made a full circle after being away for 30 plus years, coming back home over the last 2 years to spend time with my 85-year-old mother and my siblings as well. So I am a graduate of the University of Alabama with a degree in mathematics, majors in psychology and English. I really feel as though my disciplines really prepared me for where I am today, although I don't even know how much of it existed when I was in college. But I will tell you that leaving college, I moved into the financial services industry and worked for Citibank for about 13 years. Left the Citibank to work in the manufacturing industry, where I spent time with both the Coca-Cola company as well as the Clorox company in supply chain leadership. And then I found my way back to the financial services industry, which I enjoy working now for Principal Financial Group. We are a global integrated financial services company with about 19,000 employees. 7,000 of those employees sit internationally for us, and I get to lead these efforts across the enterprise. So thank you for asking.
And you just demonstrated, wow, what is this current title? Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer, but with this business acumen, see, there you go, folks. More than what just meets the beautiful eye. Okay, Jeanette.
Oh, sure. Thank you. Thank you. So for me, I'm a native Chicagoan. I have, yes, I actually attended DePaul University, graduated with a degree in human resources management and finance. And I have been a human resources professional my entire career, but in different industries. And so I have worked for Motorola, Northrop Grumman, so in the technology space, and I've also worked for Walmart and Walgreens, and now in the financial services in Zurich Insurance. And so for me, it has been amazing to be able to transcend across different industries, but it just goes to show that this work is important in a number of different industries. And so I've had the opportunity to be able to move through different industries, but certainly in human resources, but also as a chief diversity officer. Zurich Insurance Company is a global commercial insurance company. We have about 55,000 employees globally. We have about 10,000 employees in ZNA, so Zurich North America. And we have been on a journey around D&I over the last few years. And I'm happy to say that we are really seeing some of the fruits of our labor be materialized.
Thank you so much. Well said. So you just see, so that's when you talk about the transition of careers, the ability to go from one industry to the next. Jeanette, you just described what that looks like. And I think it's important for you guys to know how it's modeled and what it looks like. And so thank you for sharing that. Okay, Christine, bring us home.
Okay, so I am from Boston. I'm born, raised here, and have not left. I went to school in a small state school out in the western part of the Massachusetts, and I studied accounting. And after I graduated college, I went to public accounting and became certified public accountant. Stayed there for a little bit, and then I went into private industry, which was where I am now, Boston Mutual Life Insurance. And while I was at Boston Mutual, I ended up going back to school for 2 masters. I went back for my master's in tax and then also my MBA. And I was in finance for probably about 25 years. And I had an opportunity within my company because we have one of our big initiatives is investment in people. And so when this was launched, they had identified certain individuals that they thought could go into programs for job rotations and things of that nature. So I was rotated into human resources, and that's where I was exposed to a lot of the DEI efforts and became the chief DEI officer, as well as running and really rebuilding the human resource department, focusing on obviously all the operational aspects, but then also focusing on the equity and inclusion piece. So from there, I still have human resources under me, but I now have also transitioned back to finance. So I have both human resources and finance under me, which is very interesting because, there are many days that I'm using my left side of the brain or the right side of the brain, and they cross over a lot. But it's very fulfilling, quite frankly, because you get a full picture of the entire organization. And Boston Mutual is a smaller company than the others. It's about 350 employees. We're a life insurance company that really is who we are. We serve to middle markets, middle America.
Okay, thank you so much. And they talked about finance and managing money as a man's world. I don't think so. I think it's you say, So, when I think about, you guys, what you just talked about in terms of what you studied and where you are in terms of mathematics, psychology, HR management, finance, tax, have MBAs and masters, accounting and CPAs. I mean, just stepping back for women, and everyone's talking about the power of girls and being able to move into STEM type of careers. Where do you see that opportunity? And I'm now you guys are like, Pam, you didn't have this on the questions. I know I didn't, but you guys have inspired me. I didn't tell you when you inspire me, I go off script. So I'm going off script. Where do you see the opportunities for young women to continue to follow in your footsteps in these careers? These kind of being able to study areas of business acumen and then still do something with passion. I like each of you to just chime in on Miriam, you want to go first?
I sure will, Pam. I will tell you that I took the stairs to get to where I am. And I love the fact that those who are following us can take the elevator
Mhm.
because we have left breadcrumbs on how to get to the next level within our organizations for people. And we're very intentional about creating those pathways for employees. So I'm thrilled about our global mentoring program, which really helps to create that pathway where everyone within our organization, not just high potential talent, can be connected with a mentor to help them to not only develop skills, but also to help navigate the organization and learn how to advance their careers. So I'm thrilled about that program because within that program itself, we have a higher retention rate for all employees of nearly 45%, and then a 60% higher retention rate for those who participate in the program that are women. So very important to what you're talking about now, Pam, and our ability to show women the way and help them to accelerate the pace at which they can reach higher heights in corporate.
But thank you for that. 'Cause I think the trajectory, right, and coming off the election, once again, another female candidate, the last time with Hillary Clinton and now again. So, that's still dreams coming true. How about you, Christine?
So I would suggest a lot of companies have job rotation programs. And within the job rotation programs, the banks are very good at this. Insurance companies are good at it as well. The exposure that the candidates and women get to different areas that they normally never would is priceless. And having that exposure and that experience allows them to be able to take that to their next position and also be able to say, I can do that. I've been there and I have that experience. So those are the types of opportunities I think are obviously they are available to all women and men, but I would strongly encourage women to do that because it really helps well round your career.
I appreciate that. And Jeanette?
And I certainly agree with everything that the other panelists have said. What I would add here is two things. There are more apprenticeship type programs today than there were when certainly we started our careers, right? So taking advantage of those, I think mentoring, as I look back on my career, I had people who were my mentors that we didn't call them mentors at that point, but having folks that can give you that guidance and direction and people who will be honest with you and say, have you considered where this is going to take you? Or you're considering this opportunity. Is this the right opportunity? Does this align with what you want to do? So having folks, men and women, who can be your mentors in the same industry or in different industries, within your organization, external to your organization. I think that's so very important to have that person or persons that you can touch base with and have that conversation, a really truthful conversation, because they know you, they know what your background is, they know what your aspirations are if you've shared those. So being able to have that quote unquote mentor, like I said, when I started my career, I had these folks, but I didn't call them mentors. So I think
Yeah.
it's important to have those mentors, right?
Yeah, I think that's really critical. I love that, Jeanette, because a lot of times, you guys have to be real. Let's just be real. And unfortunately, I hate to be in that bucket with you, but sometimes folks they're a little feel fearful and timid to approach us because they think, oh my goodness, can I? So, so asking for mentoring moments, and reaching out, because yes, we're very busy, all of us, so busy,
Yes.
but never
Yes.
too busy, to pay it forward. And I think that's part of, what we do as women, but also the commitment, that leaders, like yourselves have. Okay, that's enough for the good stuff. Now I'm getting ready to get into the deep stuff, guys. I'm getting ready to go there. So I'm just going to say that we've just, as you know, change is, that is the one constant. Change is the one we know if nothing else, you're going to deal with some kind of change, whether it's in the community. And we know that our workforce makes up the community. So our community comes into the workplace. And so how do we navigate that? How do we make sure we keep that calm? But the one things that I would ask, and I am going to ask each of you, and please, chime in and after each other speaks, I really want this to be a powerful moment here in talking about your continued commitment to your core values and your pillars. after the, I'll just state it, after the election occurred, I mean, definitely I was looking for history to occur again. And it did not. It was fine. We recognized the president-elect. However, we felt it was important to make a statement that our work and our values and commitment to people have not changed. We're going to stay steadfast in ensuring that we provide not only the best quality of service, but our commitment to inclusion, belonging, accessibility, to all that makes people connected. And so I felt it was important to kind of put that out there. You might have seen it. But that's the kind of statement as a CEO of my organization and partners around the world that I want us to say. And I'm not going to just ask you guys to speak, oh, this is where I'm standing behind my CEO, but I'm talking about your personal commitment to this work. So share with us, how, what your strategic pillars are as it relates to your business, but how you are going to continue moving forward in the work that you were doing yesterday, that you'll be doing tomorrow, and that you expect to do in the future as is yet to come. So Jeanette, you get to start this time.
Okay, thank you. So, for us, our key pillars are around the culture, around the people, and around the work that we do in the community, in where we live, work, and just operate. In terms of where we are today, we have not taken our foot off the gas. We're continuing to move forward. I think as we all discuss opportunities to move forward with the DEI work, we have to realize that this is a strategic business imperative. This is not something that you have the option of not having, quite honestly. I think for me, it's better understanding what are some of the root causes of perhaps some of the pushback. Do people really understand what the opportunities are as we unlock conversations and we have intentional conversations about what the workplace or what your culture would look like if you really embraced D&I? And so for us, it's really focused on creating an inclusive culture within the organization where everyone has the ability to thrive and to grow. And so continuing to position the organization to have those conversations where people feel that they can have those conversations, they can come forward regardless of their different identities, because we all have intersecting identities, and really trying to understand what are some of the things that we need to do to continue to educate not only our employees, but educate folks in the community as to why this work is so very important. I think that for me personally, it definitely has its challenges from time to time, but I am fortunate and so very grateful to be in a position to work with people who have the same commitment around this work as I do. And this isn't work, I say, that is for the faint of heart. This is work that you do because you have that commitment, right? It's easier to pick up and go say, you know what, I'm going to go do something else. But reaching back to help others go forward is one of the things that I have a personal commitment around. And yes, I have those days when I'm saying, why am I having this conversation? But tomorrow's a different day. So I continue to move forward. And as well as our organization is continuing to do that as well.
In your business, Jeanette, Zurich, which is a global insurer and self-insurer and reinsurer, I mean, you guys are interfacing with large clients. Am I correct?
That's right.
And so it is a commercial. I just wanted to just explain a little bit of difference of the type of insurance that you do. You want to talk like a couple minutes about that?
Yes, we insure. So for example, we insure auto dealers. We insure large businesses. We insure properties. I mean, we insure very large entities is the insurance that we do. We have a number of different lines. As you're familiar with insurance, we have a lot of different lines, but we do reinsurance. We do insurance of all those different entities. So mainly commercial insurance, though, for Zurich North America is mainly commercial insurance.
Great. I wanted folks to understand that distinction. So Christina, regardless of size, I believe of organizations, and particularly where your market, you have middle market, middle market's probably defined differently by different folks, and I'll have you clarify that for us. What are your core values, and what are you guys leaning and committed to continuing to do in this work?
Sure. So our core value really is our investment in our people, and it goes beyond just people. It's also the communities that we serve. For example, we took on a large initiative with actually Corn Ferry, and we did this equitable job and salary framework that we implemented. So we level set all the jobs and the pay across the company. And what we did, it was really kind of neat because we took the bias out of someone's coming into work now, and we leveled the playing field. Everyone now is in the same grade as their peers, or similar jobs. When it comes to merit time, we implemented a pay for performance. So you are getting paid on how you perform as opposed to whether your boss likes you. And really putting, again, taking the bias out of it. We also, we've leaned into a lot of wellness initiatives, trying to get that inclusion on both the wellness arena as well as within the corporate, just everyday inclusion for us. In particular, we have a few employees that are hearing impaired, and we have implemented American Sign Language as a wellness initiative for their peers if they would like to take it to communicate with them. Which the best
Okay.
part about that is we had people signing up over and over and over because they wanted to be able to communicate with these individuals, people that weren't even in the departments. And that to me is inclusion at work. So it shows people, they want to be part of each other, the culture that we have. And we do a lot with the community. We give back to the communities that we serve, and we really look to partner with organizations that try to focus on inclusion, whether it's helping people with disabilities get back into the community, or people with other types of disabilities getting into the workforce. So we're very supportive of that, and we support those every chance that we get, quite frankly.
And I really, like the fact that you're sharing some of these stories, because I do want to bust, the bubble and some of the bad reputation that insurance companies get, where people don't see this other side of the work that you do. So I appreciate you sharing that. And so Boston Mutual Life Insurance, I mean, you're not just Boston Life Insurance, you're Mutual Life Insurance.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more about what that means.
So mutuality, it's all about mutuality, meaning it's the culture. We truly believe in what we do. You see it every day when you walk into work, and we're able to extend that to our policyholders, in the sense there are many times that we hand deliver checks to people. When we know policyholders are in need, we go the extra mile, absolutely, to try to make sure that what they're asking for is getting resolved. I mean, we make a promise, and that's what we do, is we pay for our promises. So we make every effort to make sure it happens.
Yeah, and that's the other thing about insurance, right? This is the industry that makes the promise to keep you whole.
Right.
And then get the pushback. So Miriam, have you bring it on home in Principal Financial Group, those values that, you lean into, the strategic pillars that you work, but then also how the holistic approach to the financial services come together through the work that you guys do.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Pam, for the opportunity to share. We actually focus to share more about our strategy and how we approach inclusion itself. So global inclusion is our strategy. Diversity, equity, business results, innovation are all the outcomes that we expect through our strategy. And our pillars are around, first and foremost, is around the workplace, and how are we showing up in the workplace for our employees. Similar to what has already been shared before in the workplace, maybe I'll add one other thing, which is really a part of our DNA, and it's our employee resource groups. we have 14 employee resource groups, and they do a phenomenal job of helping us to onboard employees, helping us to really understand how to build this community within Principal itself. So we really rely heavily on our employee resource groups, and they're led by executives within our company. The other thing I would move, the second pillar that I would move to would be in the marketplace. So in the marketplace, we partner very closely with our clients. And in partnering with our clients, we share best practices because we feel as though this work is a non-compete. We also make sure that our solutions that we offer our clients are accessible to people throughout the workforce, because our customers, employees on the front line at Lowe's, they're also, executives in buildings for major corporations. So we're very focused on making sure that our solutions are timely. And then the last would be in our community. And within our communities, we have our foundation as well as our community relations department. And last year, we donated over $18 million to communities around the world through grants, employee giving campaigns and matches, as well as in-kind donations. And the one program that I favor the most within the community is our employee giving program, because what happens here is that I make a donation to an organization of my choice, one that I love. And then if I make a $100 donation, then Principal matches it 50 cents on the dollar. So that organization gets $150 to advance their mission. So it's like, if I follow my heart, then Principal follows me. And that's what I really love about working at Principal, is that opportunity to make a difference both internally and externally.
I appreciate that. And the reason I wanted you guys to share your strategic pillars and values, because I wanted people to really understand how those, cannot be moved that easily.
Yes.
Will not be changed that quickly, So therefore, it's something that you continue to manage by. So I just now want to ask you, can you, we'll start with you, Jeanette, can you share like experiences? And this is a tough question. And it's a tough question for me too, but it's a reality where you had to kind of reframe or rethink certain practices or certain strategies, the way you approach, inclusion, diversity, and equity, even talent management and how you mitigate bias to try to create a wholesome and equitable workplace. So I know I said all that to say, share an example and experience where you had to reframe or rethink certain initiatives so that you could continue to move forward and reemphasize the importance of the work that you guys are doing.
Sure. So I think for us, we've had a major initiative that we launched last year, and we had launched, as many people had, around unconscious bias training and some things around how to remove bias in conversations and things of that nature. But one of the things that I had to do was to really sit back and look at how do we help the organization move forward with this inclusion that we talk about. And so one of the things that we did was, we conducted a number of listening sessions. We looked at some of our survey results, and I concluded that we needed to really establish what I call the core program that everyone would be expected to participate in. We launched this program a year ago. We started with our executive committee, and it is called Inclusion at Zurich. And the components of this program are really around understanding, things like what to say, what not to say. We looked at how do you talk about inclusive language, inclusive leadership, what's not inclusive, looking at intersecting identities. There are some identities, of course, that you can see that I have, but there are many that are below, if you will, the waterline, right? That you don't know, and how to have conversations with people so that truly you get to know people better. And so at this point, about 70% of the organization has gone through this training. This was quite an investment from the organization because the training can go anywhere from 2.5 hours to 4 hours. But we thought it was important to level set our expectations in terms of how we truly are driving an inclusive culture. And at the conclusion of the program that each person participated in, and we considered everyone a leader. So we said everyone is responsible for driving the culture that we seek to have here at this organization. So everyone is a leader. And so at the conclusion of the program, we asked people to jot down their personal action plan. When you leave here today, what are some of the things that you're going to do? We introduced a focus around not calling people out, but calling people in. So talking to people. So if you hear something or you see something that you feel is not inclusive, is not really helping us in terms of the culture we want to have, in a respectful way, call that person in. So creating an atmosphere where people feel that they can have that, right? Because we know that if people have that deeper sense of connection, or what I like to say is stickiness, to the organization, they also have a deeper sense of belonging. And so for any of the programs that we create subsequent to this one, this is our wraparound program. This is the base. This is the expectation. Everyone, all levels of the organization are expected to go through this training. It's not mandatory, but it is something that we are requiring or encouraging people to do so that they understand how to engage with people who may be different from them. And so it was quite a commitment, but like I said, I'm happy to say that a large percentage of our employees have already gone through this training. We're touching base with people to say, did you really take action on those things you said you were going to take action on? So reframing the whole unconscious bias discussion around this whole inclusive leadership perspective is what we've done from an inclusive leadership perspective, and everyone's a leader.
I'm jumping up because I'm loving that. I don't know if you guys are gonna steal it, Christine and Miriam, but I'm stealing it. Calling people in. I mean, I love
I
that,
like
right?
that.
Calling people in.
Love it.
That's right.
I mean, and you just shared with us, okay, you guys, you don't want to deal with the political, you want to call microaggressions and bias. Okay, let's stop. Then let's go here. And you call everyone a leader. You know, we always talk about meet people right where they are.
Yes, absolutely.
Why can't you do that? So Jeanette, I don't know if I'm supposed to do this or not, but I'm just gonna tell everybody anyway. I might get but you know, Jeanette launched and they leaned into a cohort, which weren't popular anymore, and companies weren't creating the cohorts of women and people of color. But I'm just gonna have her talk just a couple minutes about her because I think that's important where we can have cohorts to help accelerate talent. We still have to do it regardless of what the barriers are there. Go ahead, Jeanette. You know,
So thank you, Pam. So about about a year and a half ago, I guess, you know, I am a data. You heard me say that I've spent a lot of my career in technology. So I'm data driven. I look at the data, I read the data, I interpret the data. And so one of the areas of opportunity for us was around African American talent. And so what I did was I launched a African American Advisory Board, which was comprised of 10 of our very senior leaders within the organization to come together and really ideate around what are some of the things that we need to do, not to just attract, but develop and retain our African American talent. Because this was an opportunity for us. So we just recently launched a program specifically for the development of high potential African American mid-level managers, and where we actually, it's a dual track program. So there is a part of the program that is for the leaders, so for their managers, and then for these individuals who are managers and individual contributors, many very seasoned folks with good experience in the organization, to really help them navigate their careers and to give them some additional tools, if you will, on how to do that. And so we just launched our inaugural session, and has been so very well received, and helping these individuals create a sense of community with other leaders in the organization, not just African American leaders, but with leaders throughout the organization. And we just finished that cohort cohort. We will launch another one in January. And I can just share with you that the energy behind that has been so very positive. And looking at these leaders who will be in that pipeline for new roles has been just, it's been an awesome undertaking. It's really been awesome.
See you in that. I just had to
Congratulations.
Thank
shout out.
you.
Yes, that is fabulous. Jeanette, I'll be connecting with you to learn more.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Fabulous.
You know, this is what it takes, this level of innovation, right? In terms of driving
Yes.
change. So, you know, Christine, you're managing, I mean, you just talked about, I mean, you're in culture, you're managing people, but you're also managing the money. And so, I mean, what a powerful combination, you know, share with us in terms of, and I am talking, I'm back to reframing, you know, and repositioning in, you know, your competing priorities, you know, and what that means and what that look like. Share a couple examples with us.
Sure. So the good thing is I can firmly say that people drive the numbers, right? And I can say that with confidence, and people will listen because that's what I'm doing all day. I'm looking at the numbers, I'm looking at the people and the initiatives and how it is impacting our business. We really have it allows me to have more concrete stature. I'm not exactly sure what to say in the sense of I'm not just going to senior leadership with an idea. I'm going with an idea plus the impact on the numbers. And that is very powerful when you're trying to get an initiative through. And so, for example, we also did, you know, unconscious bias and all the various trainings, and they were received very well. But one area we found a lot of angst around was the management and some employees think people say things they shouldn't say, right? No matter how much training you do and how much education you give them. So we felt the impact on that. So what we did, we just actually this week, one of an attorney we work with in Boston came in and she held a seminar, a DEI seminar focused on discrimination laws and equity laws, educating the managers, the importance, the roots, why these are in place and the benefits of these laws, and that it is our responsibility to be able to know this and to also act appropriately and do the right thing. And it was powerful. It was very powerful because you started to see little light bulbs go off in some people that thought, wow, I never realized what I was doing was not very inclusive, was it? Or it really was not sending the right message. And all these common sense things that you think people realize, but it takes people learn differently and they take things differently. So it was that was one initiative that was very impactful, quite frankly.
And you know what's amazing too, and you can all attest to this, is that I think, you know, we go through onboarding and management development and we do a quick refresher. But then, you know, foundationally, we don't touch some of these tough topics again. And we're
Right.
thinking, oh, well, you know, you did that back in management 101 and, you know, sexual harassment training
Right.
and discrimination training and, you know, and then we don't touch it again for years, you know, folks are senior leaders and they're revisiting it. But that has to become a best practice
It
that, you
does.
know, within just the framework, team meetings, talking about it in a, you know, healthy way of
Mhm.
being able to talk about the discrimination laws, language, words matter. And, you know, I'm going to steal from you too. People drive the numbers. I am letting you guys know when I'm stealing from you. So because they do, you know, I am the, you know, the data diva and they do. People do drive the number when you're talking about the impact and results. And so when you talk about that, yep, Miriam, I'm getting ready Pam, you're not even on the questions you gave. I'm not. Oh, well,
You don't have
you're
to be.
leaders. I expect you to lean in. I can come right with it. And I should know more. But one of the things, Miriam, particularly winning, oh my goodness, the National Chief Diversity Officer Most Impactful Award this year.
That's
I think it was because they couldn't believe the level of impact that you made around the talent within your organization. And I wasn't going to mention, but then I thought, and everybody was mentioning all these great things they've done. I thought, it's worth it for people to hear what you did to drive double-digit talent where you're headquartered in Des Moines, Iowa, and everybody says, "Oh, we can't find the talent in this geography." But you said, "I don't think so." But talk about some of the systems and the things that had to be in place to allow you to achieve, and I mean, she achieved double digit diverse numbers physically, remotely, geographically throughout her organization.
Happens.
Yes. Pam, I would really attribute it to that reframing that you'd mentioned earlier. So one of my key learnings while in the manufacturing industry was in order to accelerate the pace of inclusion that I needed to reframe. So when I entered Principal 5.5 years ago, I came in with the nomenclature of global inclusion being our strategy. And I leaned into that. So Pam, I really think it goes back to your earlier question around reframing. One of my key learnings when I was in the manufacturing industry was that in order to accelerate the pace of inclusion within organizations, that it's important to have the nomenclature in place that resonates with your team so that you're not spending, when I say your team, your employees worldwide, so that you're not spending too much time trying to explain what does diversity mean, what does equity mean, what does inclusion mean itself. So when I entered Principal about 5.5 years ago, I changed the nomenclature to global inclusion. And with that as a nomenclature, it really helped all of our employees to be able to see themselves within our inclusion strategy itself. And they understood this one very important thing is that you cannot have inclusion at the exclusion of another individual or a group of people. And I think once we laid that foundation and we understood what our North Star, what is it that we want to be, where do we want to be in 3 years, where do we want to be in 5 years? And I think both of the panelists already mentioned it is around data, making sure that we are being transparent in that data and not just that aggregate data, but double clicking and disaggregating that data to really understand where the trends are, giving leaders information that they can use like they do business numbers to really make a difference. So I think all of those things were especially important to us being able to advance inclusion. The other thing was that COVID, as hard as COVID was, it tested our flexibility policies. And whereas we at one point thought that talent needed to sit in Des Moines, we became more flexible with opening into different markets, more diverse markets, and able to really expand our candidate pool. And even with that, we moved away from calling it diverse candidate slate to inclusive candidate slate. So we pulled that nomenclature all the way through. And we went and relied on science as well, because we learned that from science is that if you have 2 or more diverse candidates within your consideration set, then you're 70% more likely to pull through a diverse candidate. So we set our policies based on that, and our leaders get a tremendous amount of credit, as well as my global inclusion team, for really embedding these practices within our existing policies to really make a difference.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think that's powerful. I mean, my goodness, what you guys have shared and how you have created, different places to connect and enter and lean into the conversation, helping people, I think, bring what you guys call authentic conversations into the workplace, help them understand what open expression means, and then asking them, how can we say this differently? I think I'm going to take that from you, Miriam. Christine and Jeanette, I hope you guys enjoying the Inclusive Leadership Index next year. And I might mess with the companies when we change diverse slates to inclusive slates. They might not know what that means. But I think, let's just talk free fall for a minute, you guys. I mean, do you think that that's kind of what we're going to have to lean into going forward, is thinking about, is some of this language that we're using in the workplace exclusive and creating some, negative energies, that we want to keep the meaning the same, but but keep it, keep the meaning as deeply important and significant as, I'm not, diversity is diverse, but when you talk about differences, that's what, part of diversity is, that we just help people get to a place where they can be comfortable, because they're going to get a lot of noise. And, what are some of your thoughts about the continuance of having to manage the language that we use now?
I think it's going to be absolutely critical. We all know that, it started out as diversity and inclusion, diversity being around representation, and not as much focus on inclusion. But I do believe that it's important for us to understand that diversity is not just about representation, right? It's a component. But when you look at, for example, my title is diversity, inclusion, equity, and belonging. So I look at ensuring that people, for example, have equitable career experiences, looking at equitable pay, looking at equitable opportunities within the organization. So I think holistically, it is going to definitely be more impactful to talk about how you touch all of these different elements that are under this umbrella of DIEB or DEI. I think that the language is definitely going to be important.
Yeah, I agree with you, Christine. I think that it matters a lot. And I think the question that we have to ask ourselves is, what is the pace that we want to advance this work at? And if we focus on the actions and the outcomes that we're looking for, and the pace at which we want to achieve them, then I think that we'll go back to that nomenclature and find that that's the right thing to do. I'd rather have advancement than try to figure out, what's the right nomenclature for it itself and spending time there.
Yeah.
I agree. Oh, go ahead, Christine.
It just, collaboration really, it involves everyone in the company. So we need to figure out how to get that, how to be inclusive and have everyone in the company be our cheerleaders. And that's the most important part.
And you said it, it's everyone's responsibility, right? It's the responsibility of everyone. And I think, and I'm just going to state it, I think somewhere we got caught up in the targets, in the goals, and not always being transparent and telling the full story all the time. And I think it's because of the information age that we're in, that we're going to have to share more information than we normally do to make sure people get it, kind of thing. Yep. So I can't believe we're already at the hour. I was just getting ready to get into it, because I was like, wait a minute. But I mean, the nuggets that you guys have shared, I mean, wrap around leadership and engagement. I love that. We always talk about wraparound services in the community, but now thinking through the wraparound, and talking no longer around domestic, but global inclusion, which is no one's excluded. Everybody's there. And even when you're looking at talking to the business leaders and saying, when you're talking to a different business unit and you say, well, aren't your people the one that drive the numbers? Aren't they the ones that, they get that. They're like, oh yeah, that makes sense, right? And so you guys have just, this is just a quick master class that you guys have just put out here, which is incredible. So I ask that you leave our audience with let me say, everyone, you can reach each of these incredible leaders on LinkedIn. So tap them there and be able to reach them. Please go to their websites and see what they're doing in the diversity and leadership space. But in terms of what you would like for each person to take away with them from this conversation, and one of the things I will say, I wanted people to understand that the insurance industry is at the forefront. These are leaders within their industries. And I wanted everyone to kind of get rid of the old myths and see that, wow, these companies, these folks in this work, in this industry are leading with innovative changes and leading practices. So with that, what call to action would you like for people to think about and take away with them from this conversation? Let's start with you, Jeanette.
Say that really our differences are our strength, and that we know that innovation, collaboration these really are the basis for creating sustainability for our organizations and our growth. And so I would say that our call to action is to really look at how we each bring those differences and how we really can help our organizations be successful, even more successful, by allowing this inclusion, which brings in that great innovation.
I appreciate that. Christine?
I would say our call to action should also be to have employees and people continually seek opportunities, really to stay educated about the challenges, the diverse challenges that employees face, both inside work and outside work, because we need to know what people are facing to be able to give them a solution, to give them some support, quite frankly.
Yeah, thank you for that. And Miriam?
Yes, I totally agree with what Jeanette and Christine have already shared. And what I would add to that is that to stay the course. I think that it's so important in these times to remind people that we're on the right track. And as we do during volatile times in the insurance industry, and as we share with our customers, to stay the course. And that is our call to action as diversity and inclusion leaders, as well as business leaders. So stay the course.
Yes, and I would add that as our previous candidate has shared, that we are definitely more alike than we are different, is seek to understand and ask for clarity. And maybe with that, we can lead into learning with that patience. Ladies, I want to thank you so much for kicking off this incredible industry, inclusive voice podcast. The insurance industry, I think it's going to be it's going to lead into the next level. Make sure we share this with everyone. And we're so excited. And for the audience, this is what you get to listen to. Some of you, this will be audio. Those of you that want to actually see these beautiful faces, you can. And you can hear it on Spotify, Apple, pull it down, YouTube, everywhere. It'll be there for you to, if you don't know what to say, they're giving you the nuggets to take in and lean in. So thank you all.
Thank you,
you.
Pam.
Thank you.
Pleasure.